Hello there, folks. I'm Dan Brown from a sort of interesting life.com, and you're joining me on top of the roof as we drive down these country lanes here. Although I want to just point out, when I say you're joining me on top of the roof, I was not on top of the roof. I was safely tucked away in the passenger seat. And this video is another random chat video where we're gonna just drive around for a while. And I really just want to talk and I suppose give another one of my waxing lyrical sort of love letters to the great outdoors, as we've got tons and tons, well, literally we're going to drive down a good few miles of exactly these sorts of roads for, well, as long as they can carry on wittering on, so could be indefinite. So really, this video is just talking about the great outdoors, and this is the area that I've grown up in and spent so many hours and literally just day after day after day walking out, and especially in the summer. And when you had, well, I think in 2009, the hottest day of the year, I walked 32 miles and down these roads all over the place in this sort of region. And for anybody who's interested, this is on the opposite side of the racecourse from my hometown of Oswestry. And again, anybody who knows the area, or if you're interested in looking it up on Google Maps, then just search Oswestry, or for a good few Welsh names now in this general area, Llansilin, Rhody Crusoe, Wyrnddu, and all sorts of different areas like that. Penigwelly Reservoirs out here, and ultimately, as I say, these are the sorts of places that I've been lucky enough in my early 20s in particular, before I had good old Narrowboat Tilly, to have spent so much time out walking. And it was just in the run up to getting my little boat that I decided to drop down from working full-time hours and doing like 40-hour weeks at work and all that, to just dropping down to a contract of 16 and basically getting out and enjoying as much of this as I possibly could while I was still young enough to do it. And my goodness me, the amount of hours I have spent out in these areas. And I mean, you can see just from what we've seen in this clip already that you've got nothing but these little rolling hills, and the deeper into Wales you get, they become bigger and bigger until they're proper rocky mountains, and it's just fantastic. And it's something I can never ever say and can never stress enough how incredibly lucky I feel to have been able to spend so much time out wandering around here. And I mean, again, I can pinpoint completely random messages. You can see here in the video that we almost missed our turning. Not that we really knew exactly where we were going, just driving around for the sake of enjoying being out here. We'd been up Penigwelly Reservoir, which there'll be a video on of very, very soon, because that is an absolutely beautiful area. But back on track as we cut through this tiny little collection of a few houses. As I was saying, the amount of time that I've spent out here, it did ultimately go on to change my entire life, as having my first experience of having a good few months where I wasn't constantly at work and wasn't constantly in a supermarket for 40 hours a week, or like I say, just a lot of time, and instead coming out here and going in all the woods closer to town and getting on my bike and going in different directions and so on. Then without that experience and that absolute core of, well, just being places like this, I mean, look at the buildings and all the, it's like something out of a different world. It's like almost going back in time, or it sort of puts me in mind little places like that where you have these farm buildings that the road isn't so much a road as almost just a part of their yard, as we saw there, where you're cutting through and you've got farm stuff one side, farm stuff the other side, no particular markers between what is the road and what's theirs. And it's almost, it puts me in mind of sort of the south of America, that sort of area. But again, because I've got absolutely zero real life experience of those areas, there's people watching this video now probably going, what on earth are you talking about? Be quiet. Getting back on track once again, it was probably that period of having those first months of just getting out here and being like, wow, this is brilliant. I don't have to have loads of money to enjoy this. I don't have to be doing this. I don't have to have all this equipment. I don't need any sort of massive investment. I just need a pair of boots, something to eat and drink, and a general rough direction of where I want to head. And again, the amount of hours that I've spent out here not only knowing where I'm going, but more importantly, completely lost down all of these country lanes. And I mean, there's times where the first time I ever came out in this direction, I ended up, I'd been given a route by a friend and a couple of maps, and I took my proper big map with me, and I took the wrong turn, didn't know where on earth I was really, and discovered that I'd actually walked off the edge of a map, and for probably a period of, I don't know, like literally 2 hours, maybe longer, I didn't actually know where I was. And it was only when I got to a random little village and recognised, hang on a minute, this is Glenkiriog. And I realised then, well, this isn't what I expected. I've come quite literally miles upon miles out of my way, and I'm not particularly certain which roads lead me back. And those are the experiences that, instead of, as I would have been in years gone by, going, well, this isn't great. I wonder, is there anything that I can do? Well, I haven't got phone signal. I think on that occasion I might have been listening to the Iliad or the Odyssey. One of those audiobooks I think I was listening to as I went. So again, just hours and hours and hours of that. I don't know how many hours I was out walking for, but it probably ended up about a 6 hour trip instead of a 4 hour trip or something like that. But it was those initial experiences of exactly that sort of thing that were, well, vital into leading me to want to live a life that I could do more of that. And had I have not had that opportunity and not been given that opportunity by the people that I worked with at the time to go, oh yeah, we'll cover these hours and so on, just go out, do whatever you want. And having the group of friends at that period as well who were also interested and up for doing huge long walks. And I mean, that was the era where I started doing an awful lot of proper big walking holidays around Scotland, just driving up like 500 miles in a day, then, well, literally driving about 2,000 miles over the course of 2 weeks, camping overnight on the foot of a mountain, waking up first thing in the morning, being on the foot of a mountain well before 7 o'clock in the morning, and getting up and down before dinner time. And those experiences just, well, literally, like I say, have gone on to shape my entire life. And were it not for times like that, then I do seriously doubt that I would have ever had the hunger to go, God, how can I find a lifestyle or live in a way that can allow me to do more of this and experience more of these places, whether that's through being able to have the time and not have to be at work constantly paying for a house or renting or what have you, or in a way that the boat then not only was a low cost option but also was mobile, and so gave me access to far more places like this in just, well, literally dozens and dozens and dozens of miles, well, hundreds of miles, if I one day ever get onto my big trip that I may or may not take in the next coming few years. Again, I'll wait until I'm 30 and then decide exactly what my plans are for the future. But really, as you've seen already in this video, I mean, we must be, I don't know how many minutes into the recording now, probably getting on for 7 or 8 minutes, and we've seen one person, a couple of houses, and just endless stretches of road that's exactly like this. And as I say, this would just go on now, right up. You could pretty much carry on these sorts of roads for probably, well, I wouldn't even like to say. You could probably get to the coast without really hitting any main roads from this point. But between here and the Welsh coast, there's so many places you are. Obviously, I'm not saying specifically this is the route that you would take, but just in the general area, 50 miles from here, I would say you've probably got places like Lake Vyrnwy, Bala Lake. I would say a lot of the big, I wouldn't like to say something like Cadair Idris, but a lot of big mountains in the region. And again, that's ignoring the fact that there's roads connecting all these places that are just like this. And again, that's the second car I think we've seen now while we've been driving around. And when that's the sort of thing, I think this year, to the right hand side there, that gateway is the firing range, which once upon a time, the troops from a army camp that used to be based around Oswestry used to march like probably a good 15 miles or so out to this sort of area. then go to the shooting range, and then march right back down these roads. And as I say, it's just all of these places that for many, many years have been these empty lanes. Even now, driving around and just filming on a random day, we've seen 2 cars in 10 minutes. And that's with us covering a lot of ground in a car as well. Oh, here's car number 3, just as I say that. And really, I suppose on that note, now I've whittled on about nothing for long enough, I will wrap things up and say thank you so much for watching. Oh, I'll just point out as well, it looks like we're going pretty fast here, and obviously we are going quite fast, but the fisheye lens of the GoPro camera always adds a little bit of extra speed into things. So please do oh yeah, and goodness me, I started carrying on that sentence as if I'd never been away. Yeah, so please do consider checking out my books available for the Kindle about narrowboat life and things. Just search Amazon for The Narrowboat Lad. Feel free to check out my other videos for loads of outdoors, walking up hills, narrowboat life, biking, all sorts of different stuff. And of course, also, feel free to add me on Facebook and Twitter and like the Facebook page. Again, loads of outdoor pictures and updates from life afloat and that sort of thing. And until the next time though, have an absolutely fantastic day. Keep it boat worthy, keep it outdoors worthy, and of course, farewell.